records to the table. And it's really important that you go back and double check and proofread and make sure that you have all the contract number and customer ID numbers and amounts and signing dates and so forth correct, because we're going to use this data, especially the contract number and the customer ID number, to relate to another table. So it's really important that all of that is correct. Let me just go over a couple of things. One, you'll notice this asterisk here. This is the new record row. Down here at the bottom, you've got your navigation area. So you can see that right now I'm on record 9 of 9. I can navigate through my records by clicking either the forward or the back navigation button. I can go to the last record, the first record, and I can also go to new record here as well. If you start typing accidentally, or even to add a new record, now you notice the pencil is here. That means that you are in edit mode. You can't get out of this unless you type in a contract number, because it is the primary key. We didn't talk about the primary key, but the primary key in a table is a unique key that cannot be duplicated. So we're using the contract number as our primary key. You have several primary keys associated with you: your social security number, your student ID, your driver's license number, and others. And depending on what business you're dealing with, it could be an account number, it might be your vehicle tag number. So we do have primary keys in most tables, and that is data that is unique to that particular record that cannot be duplicated. A couple other things I want to make sure you understand: that a column is it says an index or primary key cannot contain a null value. That means to get out of this, I need to press escape on the keyboard. So I pressed escape a couple of times, and now I'm okay. A column is a field, and a row is a record. So make sure you understand those two definitions. When you're working in an Access database or in a table, as you enter a record, as soon as you enter any data into a field, that data is saved. So you don't actually have to save data as you work, but you do have to save the format or the design of the table. And I did widen my columns, so I will click on the Save button, and it's saving my contract table back to my Belmont file. One other key piece of information is that you cannot save as a database file. If I click on the Office button, I get a Save As, but I can save it in another format, but I can't save it as another Access database 2007. So even though it says that, you really can't save it. So make sure that if you want to make a copy of your file, that you do that through Windows Explorer or some other program. Copy and paste. Now I'm going to add 2 additional records. So I'm going to click in my blank row to add my new record. I'm going to go ahead and type in the information. As I finish typing this information, even though I didn't have it on the video, when I pressed Enter or Tab, remember it takes me to another blank record at the first cell, field of that record, so that I can continue entering data. Your data sheet should now look like the picture on page AC17, just below number 6. Next, we're going to close the contract table. So I'm going to click here on the Close button, and I'll say yes to change any layout changes I made to the table. Now in my Access objects, I have the contract listed. So I'm going to double click it, and it's going to show up in Data Sheet View. Again, I already covered the navigation button here. If I ask you on the test, what's the data in record 4, I'm referring to the navigation record counter, not an ID or any other data, any other field information. So be sure you understand when I'm asking about record numbers. Again, there's information on page AC19 about saving a database. Please read that and make sure that you're familiar with how to save a database. Starting on page AC20, we're going to actually copy tables from another database, from the agreement table, from the ORIN database. To do that, you have to open another access window, which I've done here. I've opened a second access window. I've navigated to my tutorial 1 where my ORIN database is. I'm going to open it, and I'm going to open the double click the agreement table, and I want to copy all 55 records in the agreement table. So to do that, I'm going to click in this top left corner where this little half triangle is, and that will select all of those records. Then I'm going to click on the copy button. You can also Control C if you want to. And now I've copied those records into the clipboard where I'll be able to paste them into my contract table. And back over to my contract table. To make this work, I have to select the entire row that I want to copy the records to, the first record that I'm copying to. The other thing I need to bring up is that you have to make sure that the field names are exactly the same in both tables and that the data type is the same in both tables. If it's not the same, then it will not copy correctly. So I'm going to click Paste, and it say, you are about to paste 55 records. Are you sure? I'm going to say yes, and then you can close your other window, your other access window. You now have 56 records in the database, and you can navigate through those records like I showed you earlier using your navigation button. Go to the beginning, to the first record, to the last record, number 65, to the previous record. If you're in a field and you press End, it takes you to the last field in that record, which in this case is Add New Field. That is part 2 of tutorial 1.